The purpose of today's session is really to give primarily new sellers or people that are really trying to grow their business and just either haven't had the success yet or are just getting started. I'm going to go through some topics today that are really the most kind of fundamental and core important aspects of how to grow your business, get started, list products, and be successful selling on Amazon Handmade, because there's so much potential there as long as you use the right resources and you take the time to invest and educate yourself. So how much does it cost to sell on Amazon Handmade? So the professional seller account for $39.99 a month is waived for handmade sellers. Currently, it's waived through the end of the year. We've continued to push that out, and while I can't guarantee that it won't change, I do not foresee that becoming an issue in the following year. So I wouldn't be worried about that. So with that in mind, it's free to list. It's basically risk-free. You only pay when you get a sale, which is 15% taken out of the sale only after it happens. So if you are, for some reason, if you did get charged $39.99 a month or that $39.99 fee, or you don't see like from Seller Central your handmade a little banner, reach out to seller support because that means you may have registered wrong. Here in just a second, I'll give you a link to where you can email them with registration issues. And then the next question is, and we get this a lot, I only just heard about Amazon Handmade. What is being done to market and grow the brand and gain exposure? And so Amazon Handmade is doing amazing, specifically because we created a marketplace specifically for people that hand make, hand alter, or have some type of handcrafted design or element to their products. And through our application process, we've really fostered that environment where people can grow in an authentic community. And so we are tripling down our marketing efforts, and we're doing everything that we can to really get exposure for artisans. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, people that have started in their kitchen from their countertop with an idea that have ended up turning it into a full-time business, or they've left their full-time job to do this because the opportunity is huge. Amazon is huge, and this is a great way to be part of Amazon while still maintaining that small business handcrafted element. Okay, so next, this is your list of resources, but these are super vital. You get exactly out of Handmade what you put into it. So with that in mind, this is a list of resources. Our Artisan Advantage tutorial site is a series of video tutorials that are short, and they cover the most important topics for being successful in Handmade. They don't go into super deep detail. Those details are available on Seller Central. So if you see the second line item, Seller University, that's a great tutorial site for videos that go super in depth on a lot of the topics that I'll talk about today and more. The Handmade Style Guide, if you haven't already, download the Handmade Style Guide, save it to your desktop. It's a great resource to have when getting started, and just for in general best practices, listing products. It's a great resource. So download that, save that. And then last is Artisan Advantage Facebook page. So this is a Facebook page that is monitored and managed by our team. We'll give you updates, future webinars, education, promotions, opportunities to get featured, all of those things. So make sure, if you haven't already, start following our Artisan Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/handmade artisan advantage. And then last but not least, and part of what makes Handmade so special and like super, super great for small businesses or people getting started, if you have questions, is that we have a dedicated seller support team. And you can contact them at support-handmade@amazon.com. So if you're joining the webinar and you're having issues registering, or you haven't got there yet, reach out to our seller support team. The other way, and probably the most efficient way, is to, from your Seller Central account, go to help in the top upper right hand corner, and then go down and select contact us, and then choose the reason you're contacting us, and you'll be able to contact or connect with us via chat, message, or we can set up a time to call you. Okay, so next, for those of you getting started, and kind of the main reason that I want to get across is all of the most important fundamental factors for being successful on Handmade. And even like kind of a pre-note to that is I've talked to thousands of artisans individually. This is kind of my bread and butter. And one of the most common things that I hear is I listed a product and I never got a sale. And so I just kind of tuned out, and it's just up there, it's sitting. I never really went anywhere. The way that Amazon is structured and the way that Handmade is structured is if you list a product and you hope for a sale, it's probably not going to happen. The odds are against you. However, if you invest the time to learn some of our tools, to learn how it works, list more products, you will be successful. If you've had success selling your products on Etsy or marketplaces or other places, you really just have to, it's a constant self-education, testing our tools, and that's what's going to make you successful. So if you've listed a product and you haven't had a sale yet, wait for me to go through the spiel, ask us questions, but really dive into it because the opportunity is huge. So there are 5 pillars, what I like to call the 5 pillars of success to getting your first sales and growing your business. So I'm going to go through each one of these individually. So first of all, if you haven't yet, familiarize yourself with our store. You can go to just amazon.com/handmade. It'll take you right to our storefront. You can browse our categories. So just get familiar with how our store is merchandised, what products go into which categories, and that's super important once you get into listing, and we'll get into that. But just familiarize yourself with the store. So number 1 is perfecting the product detail page. So all of the elements on this screen that you can see. So the product detail page is when you click in, if you've ever shopped on Amazon, when you click on a product and you go to that page where you can add to cart, that's the product detail page. So you can see the title right up here in the upper kind of left-hand corner. You see the title, you've got images of the item, and then below the item, which is a little different than the rest of Amazon and unique to Handmade, is the product description. So this is where you want to put in information, and I'll get more into this, but really describe your product in detail because people can't feel your products. The more descriptive elements that you can add to your product description, the better off it's going to be because people can't pick up and feel your product. So really being able to describe it well is super important. And again, we'll go a little bit deeper once I go into listing your first product. So product images, these are huge. If you've ever shopped on Amazon, your products, the number 1 way that people find products on Amazon is search. So when your products are listed, you'll see them in rows side by side with other products. So product images are super important for conveying the uniqueness, the texture, all of the elements of your product. So you don't have to be a professional photographer. Just make sure that your products are well lit on a simple background. So they don't have to be on a white background like you see on the screen. However, simple, non-distracting backgrounds will do wonders for your product because that's your opportunity to catch people's eyes when they're searching. Next is optimizing for search, and I'll go a little bit more into this when I go through listing your first product. But as I said before, search is the number 1 way that people find products on Amazon. And even though you're part of Handmade, your products are still discoverable on the rest of Amazon. So optimizing for search is super important. And then number 4 is customer reviews. So if you've ever shopped on Amazon, you know how important customer reviews are. Customer reviews they give that secondary context. So if you have your images right, your product description is great, everything's set up right, customer reviews are really kind of that last line of defense, which people often rely on before making a purchasing decision. So how do you get started with customer reviews? This is always a tough question, but for customer reviews, there's a few things that you can do. And so the first is let your current customers, if you're selling on Etsy, if you're selling on other marketplaces, craft fairs, wherever it is, let customers know that your products are on Amazon and that you would love for genuine feedback, you can ask for genuine feedback. You can't solicit biased feedback from family members, but you can let your customers know you just want a genuine, honest feedback. And anybody from anywhere, if they purchase your product through any other channel outside of Amazon, they can still review your product. Now, if you get a bunch of reviews that aren't Amazon verified purchases, Amazon will they'll dock you for that. So just make sure you follow our community guidelines. You can find them on Seller Central, but customer reviews are really they're vital to being able to kind of capture customers and convert sales. Next is sponsored products. Okay, so sponsored products is one of the most affordable and effective ways to jumpstart your sales on Amazon. And they're huge. And it's not like most people think that you have to make this big investment and it's going to take a lot of time to see results. And luckily, Amazon knows its customers really well, and it matches that really well with the products they're searching for, the products they buy. And so getting started, you can set up a campaign in about 4 minutes and your products are instantly visible, more visible to customers. So this is an example. So when you do sponsored products, you set up your campaign. These are some of the areas that your products can show up. They can show up at the top of search results, at the bottom of search results. If somebody's looking for a similar product tiers, if you've ever looked on Amazon, you'll notice sponsored products related to this item on product detail pages, on sidebars. There's a number of places, but the primary reason is if you just list a product and hope it's going to sell, even if you've got everything, like you might get some sales, but if you want to get started and really jumpstart your sales, this is the easiest way to do it. And if you've never done it before, you get a free $50 advertising credit that's automatically credited to your account once you start advertising with us. And that is more than enough for literally every single artisan I've ever talked to. That's more than enough to get started. So you get a free $50 ad credit. Take advantage of it. You control your pricing. It's pay-per-click. You only pay per click what you decide when somebody comes to your detail page. So check it out. It's huge for getting started. Now, you don't have to, but it's huge for getting started. So big recommendation there. And then 6, and this is kind of a future state. So if you're brand new, don't get too caught up on this yet, but that's fulfillment by Amazon. And so for those of you that shop on Amazon, if you've ever heard or seen the Prime badging that's on products when people filter for Prime products, this is the easiest and most common way to get that Prime badging. So what that means is if you make so for non-customizable products, if you make more than one type of item, if you can make 5-10 units, you would take those, individually package them, following our packaging guidelines, and you'd send them into our fulfillment center. And then they'd be stored there. And as soon as an order comes through, Amazon will pick, pack, and ship your order. They'll pay for shipping anywhere in the continental United States. They'll pay for fast, free shipping to the customer. You just have to pay to get your items to the fulfillment center. And then you have to pay based off of size and weight monthly storage fees. Now, those vary quite a bit based off of size and weight. So I'm not going to go into a lot of details there, but it's in addition to the 15% referral fee. But almost every artisan that I've talked to, if they've had sales for a product on Amazon or on Handmade, and they move into FBA, their sales significantly increase. So if you're able to, and it makes sense for your business, look into FBA. Again, with the handout download resources and on Artisan Advantage tutorial site, we touch on that, and we have a ton of previously recorded webinars that walk you through step-by-step pricing and how it works, how to create your first shipment. So the resources are there. So if you're interested, definitely take a look, because FBA, if it works for your business, can be huge. Okay, so before we get into opening up for office hours, real quick, I'm actually going to go into Seller Central, and I'm going to go through listing a product. So from Seller Central, this should look familiar to you. For most of you, if you've registered, you should see this Handmade banner. If you don't see this Handmade banner, you might have registered wrong. So if you don't, or you've been charged a monthly fee, make sure you reach out to seller support, because you shouldn't be paying a monthly fee. Unless you're selling a significant amount of products on the rest of Amazon, which the limit is 40 units on the rest of Amazon per month. Okay, so from the Seller Central homepage, I'm just going to really quickly go through listing your first product and kind of touch on some of the important details. So from Seller Central, there's a number of ways you can do it. You go to the widget, add a new product, that's one way to do it, or just in general, from inventory, go to add a product. And for this example, I am actually, you go through, so explore the categories. And like I said before, check out our website and go to amazon.com/handmade, explore the store, see how products are categorized. A lot of times people will be like, I don't see my category. You kind of got to look through it, search through ones, and it's not always super easy to find. So explore it and kind of look through the different categories and the different options to make sure you're listing in the right category, because that can have a really big difference on your sales as well. So for this example, if I was listing I'm going to go through and list an example product or a test product for a mug. So I'd go into home and kitchen, and then I'm looking at kitchen and dining, let's see, tableware, and mugs. So I'd select mugs. So if you've really looked through and you don't see anywhere, you can make a suggestion, and we're always taking suggestions for more categories. And as people start to list products or suggest those, we'll open those up as we continue to grow. Okay, so next, let's say I select that product. I'm going to kind of skip to the product that I was adding. And this is it. So when you come in to create your first product, the page would look very similar to this. So you'll notice title. So this is super, super important. These are the most important keywords for the search. However, there's keywords below that I'll get into that are super important to making sure your products are discoverable. But titles are different. If you've ever sold on Etsy, it is less every keyword you can think of in a title. Amazon is really making a push to make sure that titles are succinct, very clear, and they don't misinterpret, and they just aesthetically look good. They're very, if you can close, the best way to write a title, what I've always said is close your eyes, describe the product as clearly and as simply as possible. So for this one, personalized brown ceramic 12-ounce coffee mug. It's straight to the point. If somebody didn't see the picture, they'd know exactly what the product is that they're clicking into. So next, product description. Like I said, people can't pick up and feel your product. So use this area to really describe the details of your product. And for each one of these, so there's a ton of attribute fields. For each one of these, you can hover over and it'll give you a little pop-up to kind of give you more insight if you're unsure. Select your pricing, quantity. So that's just the general, like I talked about with images, make sure that primarily your default image is well lit, simple, and really captures your product in its best light, because that's your first and best chance to capture customers when they're searching through Amazon. Next, make sure that you have multiple products you want to make sure that when your product arrives, that it's not a surprise and that the customers see what they get. So make sure you have as many images as you can, because that'll go a long way for you. Okay, next is the additional info. Now this is huge. This is a very important section for getting found. So how are your products made? So in the product description, you want to talk about all the different elements to the product. How are your products made? This is a bit more of the process. If you're hand spinning mugs or blowing glass, you can walk them through that kind of unique process that really sheds light on your unique products and how they're made. Occasion types. So these are really big, especially if you want your products to show for wedding, because wedding is technically not a category for us, it's a collection. So using wedding, so if you have wedding products or products specific to wedding, make sure you use the wedding occasion type. People tend to go all out. Don't go all out. use the occasion types that are most appropriate for your product. The goal is not fill out everything you can. The goal is fill it out most accurately as you can. So style name, this will give you different options, but for this one, I chose modern, traditional, shape, round. You want to fill out as many of these attributes as you can. They're huge for really painting that picture to the customer, so they're not left guessing. Next, I'm going to skip down. There's a ton of fields, but next is the search terms. So search terms are, if you've ever used Etsy or other marketplaces, this is different. Amazon doesn't recognize commas. You're not going to get docked if you use commas, but that's just not the way that Amazon is set up. The best way to create these for search terms is put them in the most logical order. And so, for example, personalized ceramic drink cup. Somebody's more likely to search for personalized ceramic drink cup than drink cup ceramic personalized. So as you put them in here, put them in the most logical order. Try not to repeat. Amazon takes into account pluralizations, capitalizations, and different things like that. So you don't need to have all those different permutations. However, you'd want to put as many words as you can. And so, like I said, if they're in a flowing sentence, put them in the most logical order, but you can put in as many words as you can, up to 250. And you just want to make sure that you have items that match your product. Don't just put in anything and everything you can think of unless it relates directly to your product. So drink, mug, cup, there's a ton of different words. So think of all the different words that people might be searching for that would lead them to your mug. This is where you want to do it. So like I said, put them in the most logical order, but then you can start putting in, random search terms that they don't have to be separated by a comma. They can just be something that relates to your product, and you can put as many in as you can, up to 250. So on setting up your product, those are the most important things for setting up your product. That's primarily it. So once you've listed your product, that's kind of the process. Like I said before, once you've listed your product, go ahead and explore the different options. Specifically, if you go into Campaign Manager and you want to set up an advertising campaign, this is the way to do it. You can get set up. You can create an advertising campaign with your free $50 credit in about 4 minutes, and it can do wonders for getting your products in front of customers. And then other things, once you've got sales and you have some seller feedback, you can do coupons. Coupons are great you can do as little as a 5% off coupon, and you only pay for those when somebody uses them at checkout, but those can help conversion and people to buy your products a lot. So look at the different tools that are available to you, explore, and you got to test. You can't just list and forget. You got to make sure that you're constantly testing, because you will get out of this what you put into it. Okay, that concludes my presentation for the webinar. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this was helpful.